Welcome to this week's episode of Give It a Nudge. This week we have Gabriela Scharf, who has come to join us. She has had a fascinating career, all sorts of different things, and some of the things she's involved with now are super interesting. So I'm not even going to go into it. I'm just going to bring her in and we'll just chat away. So Gabby, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on. So I had a look through, as you know, I don't like to do a lot of research on my guests. I like to find it out on the show, right? But I had a look through your LinkedIn profile and I was like, oh my gosh, like there's this and there's this and this, and it goes all the way through, right? So I don't know where we start and I don't know how you would introduce yourself, but I guess the simplest way I could introduce you is you grew up and worked in Brazil, you moved to Australia and you've done every job imaginable possible. But it's just like, I was just like one thing after another, and you're obviously doing some ambassador roles now, and you've kind of got your own business now as well, and you've just finished up a role. Where do you want to start? I mean, let's talk, what I guess first brought you over here from Brazil? Let's start there.
Start there. It's so hard to talk about my career. I always struggle. I don't even know where to go and where to start because I feel like I don't stop. And I just don't like my comfort zone, and I think that's one of the reasons that I'm always like changing, but I'm also changed a lot of purpose. But what brought me to Australia was also it was always something I felt inside me. I have no idea. You can call it intuition or something that is meant to be, but I always felt that Australia was the place to be. And then 6 years ago, I came as a 6 months, no, Mom, I'm going for 6 months. And here I am 6 years later, and so many great projects. And
there's a lot of Brazilians there's a lot of British as well in Sydney, but there's a lot of Brazilians in Sydney particularly.
Oh yeah, you shake a little bush and a Brazilian jumps out and you're like, oh.
And that's why there's beach volleyball everywhere, I swear. Everywhere you go, there's built more and more beach volleyball, and all I can hear is Brazilian accents. So yeah. I think you've been testament to growing that sport in this country like countless times. So look, I'm the same. I arrived here for a year and ended up here I am 25 years later. So you came for 6 months, you were here 6 years. I'm sure you'll go down the same track. So when you first got here, what did you do and how did you get a job? Did you come traveling or did you come for work?
I came with the famous student visa, which actually allows you to work only 20 hours a week.
Yep.
So I was very frustrated because I just graduated in public relations in Brazil. I had a career already. I have worked for Red Bull. I've been a co-working manager. I've organized TED Talks, 1,500 people conferences. I was, giving speeches and things like that.
Go, right?
And here I am in Australia, allowed only to work 20 hours a week, which it didn't no one would hire me in a marketing position or something like that. So here I am working in hospitality, making juices and things like that. And my mom is like, are you serious? You have a bachelor and you're doing that. So, I had kind of a gap year in 2018, which is literally not doing what I loved, and it really got me at the end. And then I was like, nah, and that's the reasons I came back home and then came back with a work and holiday visa, which allowed me to work 40 hours a week. And
you have to go home to get that, right?
I did to get an Italian passport.
You have to leave the country, don't you?
Yeah. And applied from there, which was really quick. And then literally a month later was referred from the global marketing manager in Austria from Red Bull to work in Australia.
Yeah. And then you have become a permanent resident now, correct?
I did.
Yes, you've gone the whole journey. Right? Also, I've gone citizen. I'm sure it's coming your way at some stage.
It is.
As well. So, I mean, I think what I noticed with your career in the sort of the brief scan of your LinkedIn is obviously marketing, PR was definitely where you were, working with big brands, and then you sort of moved more into purpose-driven stuff, which was about right?
Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, exactly. I always loved innovation, always loved startups. It was always in the back of my mind. But yeah, once I started working with smaller companies, that's where I found purpose. Yeah.
And so, was that a conscious decision to go down, like some of your recent roles, obviously you're a surfer, you love the ocean, some of your roles have been involved with that. Mm-hmm. Was that something that you just thought, you know what, career, big brands, it's great, but it's just not fulfilling me? Or did it just opportunistically? Was it serendipity that it came up, or how did that sort of happen?
It was kind of both. My last big company I was working with was WeWork.
Yep.
And it was kind of during COVID. And during WeWork, I was working from home. And when I discovered that type of flexibility...
Working at WeWork from home.
Yeah, exactly. So when I discovered that type of flexibility in my life, especially within my lifestyle, I was like, that's it. I have to work with something that gives me flexibility, but then also something that gives me purpose. So that's when I transitioned from big companies to smaller companies that I knew I was like being, really valued where I was, and also having flexibility and work-life balance kind of thing.
So let's talk about WeWork. I mean, WeWork is, everyone knows WeWork. Mm-hmm. A lot of people have seen the series We Crashed. I don't know if you've watched that. I thought it's a great, for a Hollywood dramatized version of a true story, I actually think they did a really good job. Mm-hmm. Jay Leno was genius in that. But that's a hell of a story, right? I mean, you've got this business that, not unlike Uber, really changed the world, but they had to do that by breaking a lot of laws and doing things that probably, when people look at them from the future and sort of look back on them, they go, oh, they shouldn't have done that. That's not right. But I'm interested to know your opinion on this because, you were obviously working for them. You were part of that. I feel like to actually change the world, you have to go out and break the rules and do things you're not supposed to, and perhaps not be popular and all the things that, a number of these founders of these companies that we know so well now have done and are probably still doing, although we don't see it so much now. Mm-hmm. Did you know what was going on at WeWork? Did you have that feeling? What was it like? Because you were there during that sort of the more towards the end, I guess. But.
It was towards the end. The founder was not working anymore with the company.
Has he just been out?
He just left. Yeah. But the culture was still kind of the same. And I agree with you. I believe that you have to break the rules, especially in this crazy world nowadays. And I do believe that they always wanted to be more than a co-working space. They wanted to be a community. They wanted to be a movement. And I kind of liked what he created in a way. And obviously there are challenges, and especially during COVID, I worked there in a very, very hard time for them because, it's all about occupation. Absolutely. In offices and everyone was working from home, and that type of culture of working from home started as well within every single company. Yeah. So they were having a big challenge, and I'm sure they still have it. But I do believe that the culture that they bring and this like community, because I love community and I feel like they do have this goal within the business, and that's what I like about them.
It's funny, I think you're right, they wanted to be this movement, this community. I think you're quite right. And I think the COVID was obviously hugely damaging to them, but at the same time, it validated a lot of his ideas. If that you read a lot of the reports coming out of COVID, they said the world's going to become very community driven. And you look at where, that was Price Waterhouse. I hate it when companies like that get these things right because you kind of feel like they shouldn't. But the world is becoming more community driven. And in fact, it's almost becoming obsessed with communities in a different way than it was before. There's no doubt COVID changed everybody's way of thinking about their work. Obviously, work from home was never a thing. Now it's almost a must. Communities have become much more thing. People are creating communities and coming together in events like we were just talking before we started filming. The amount of events now and the sheer volume of people showing up to them is enormous, and they're creating communities everywhere. There's online communities. There's just this world and sea of communities, which is kind of where your career's gone, right? Was that a purposeful thing, or is it just you've just sort of just been in the right place at the right time?
Actually, it was both as well. Like it was always, because I had community positions back home that it was not called community, but it was. Yeah. And it is now called community, community manager and like community experience manager. And back there, it was kind of like, co-working manager, but I was dealing with community all the time. And it's definitely where I found myself like, okay, this is the goal. People want to be part of things.
Yeah.
people want to be part of movements. They want to feel they belong, especially nowadays.
It's tribal, right?
It's a tribal thing. Yeah, exactly. And you want to be part of that tribe. It's in our blood, and you want to be part of something. It's a human thing. So especially when it matches your purpose. And I feel like after COVID, there is a need for that even more, as you said, because I've missed this human interaction so much, and if I can be part of different communities, I will, because I want to have that exchange. I want to have that, sense of belonging.
Do you think it was the isolation? Like we all went, I mean, we'll be quite honest, if you were here in Sydney, which you would have been, COVID was pretty cruisy here.
It was.
It really was. I mean, if you compare it to cities like Singapore or Hong Kong or London or places like that where people are stuck in small apartments and they weren't allowed out, or even Melbourne to some degree, Sydney was a very easy place to be. But I think even here, there was a sense of isolation from what you used to have in terms of you couldn't travel, couldn't go to restaurants, all those sorts of things. And then in the greater world, that sense of isolation, I think, was far greater. Do you think that's what's driven it? It's like we lost our ability to have community, so now we're craving it?
100%. 100%. I think that's where we are now. I feel like we didn't give value to that back in the day. And I feel like even with WeWork, that was a vision. He was a visionary, and he saw that people, at the end of the day, there is nothing that replaced the human interaction.
Yeah.
And will never change. And it will affect the way teenagers and people grow, like, even kids nowadays that don't interact as much. And I feel like it really got into us during COVID, like, especially me, I'm a social animal. Like, I love this exchange and talking to people and being with people. So I definitely think that it was COVID, and now we're in a moment that we're like, we never want to have that again.
No,
like I want to be with people. I wanted to interact. I wanted to be like in events and things like that.
So let's talk a little bit about what you're doing now. So you're doing a couple of different things now. You're an ambassador, and we can touch on that. Mm-hmm. And then you've also got this brand, this Cool Brands, is that right?
Yeah, Cool Brands.
Yeah, so let's talk about that first, and then we'll come on to the ambassador role later. I've always wanted to be an ambassador. I think it's a cool title, but
it's a cool name.
It is a cool name. Talk about Cool Brands, which is your own creation.
Yeah. So Get Cool Brands, it's basically a community. So
nice segue. I love it.
Correct. Yeah. So I'm a community builder. I've built communities for different startups here in Australia and back in Brazil. And I feel like obviously my passion with sustainability and working with ocean organizations like I did before, and just having this mind about saving the planet basically, but that's the thing, I love branding, I love design, I love brands, and I love physical products.
Yep.
So I was like, how can I merge this passion of sustainability, brands, and helping founders, because I've been a founder myself before, I've worked with founders. How can I just merge absolutely everything that I worked before in one thing? And I was like, let's help people get cool brands. And it's literally what I said. That's what I said. And I was like, I'm so happy I chose a name that exactly tells what I am. I'm creating a community that helps consumers to get cool brands. And I literally use the word cool because I don't want to use sustainable. I don't want to use eco because, we're humans. I'm not going to say that every single brand I'm going to have on my website, it's the best brand ever, it's the most sustainable brand ever. They don't have plastics. They don't, they are cool. They're cool somehow. They're trying their best to be better for the planet somehow.
Yep.
So that's what I want to do. And I want to help founders, not just in that matter to put them on the spotlight, because it's really hard for you to, as a small brand, to be out there, right? Within marketing, they don't have funding to have huge marketing, huge exposure. So I want them to be exposed and to be the go-to website for eco people and brands. And then from consumer perspective, I want people to come to my website and start a more sustainable lifestyle, being in fashion, being in their daily routines, being in their experiences, everything. I want to cover as many categories as I can to help people to have a better lifestyle.
So if we got brands, actually, before I ask you that question, what's the website address?
Getcoolbrands.com.
How the hell was that domain in a .com available?
I asked myself this so much, and I am so happy that I could get it.
That's
I couldn't
wild.
believe myself. Yeah.
That's
yeah,
great.
yeah.
Anyway, back to the question. That just popped in my head. I was thinking that.
Yeah.
So if we've got brands out there who are really making an effort to really create a more sustainable product, whether it be the packaging or whatever they do, and they want to come on your website, is it best to just sort of reach out to you through LinkedIn or something like that?
Yeah, there is a form now that is basically just the beginning of like a sign up kind of thing. So you sign up into the website. So there is a form for brands, and then there is a form for consumers. So
okay, cool.
You can join the community literally for free as a consumer, which is basically you're going to receive the new products, huge discounts, and first person to receive new products, basically.
Okay.
And for brands, it's going to be a subscription base, which you're going to gain a lot of not just exposure, but I'm planning myself because I work with the accelerators.
Yep.
I have a huge networking regarding to, climate tech and people in Australia. I want to help these founders and give them workshops, network events, access to, great professionals and mentors in the industry as well. So I wanted to have an educational part playing in Get Cool Brands because I want to see these founders to succeed. So.
Okay. And is there a sort of minimum that you need to do to meet your, you have a requirement level? So for example, if you've got a company out there that's maybe making a consumer brand and the packaging is recyclable, but the actual product is still in plastic, is that going to qualify? Is it not going to qualify? How does that work?
Look, I am a super honest person, and I know that I can't actually tell people, you're right or wrong in this industry. I was criticized sometimes, just to literally, do things that were not that it was not sustainable, but we're trying to do something cool. Let's say I used, fireworks in a photo, and oh no, fireworks are not sustainable. Come on, guys. I didn't set fireworks out there as a symbol of celebration. And, people are going to criticize you.
Always. They're
going to point what is right or wrong. Even that is a hypocrite, things to say. But I believe that's why I called cool brands. As I mentioned, it's not that you're 100% sustainable necessarily, but you are trying to do something cool. You're trying to even cool the earth.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to say it. I've been waiting for you to say it.
No. Believe me, I have this point of view as well on the name. So cooler, to be cooler to the earth, but to be cooler somehow, somehow you're trying. So you can be a sunscreen that is reef safe, which is safe in the reef, which is massive for the ocean. But sometimes you don't have funding enough to make a different packaging. So you have to use that plastic. Okay, I'm gonna have that. I'm gonna support you as a business. But, maybe just say how you can recycle and that's it. Everyone is trying their best. And I know these founders are as well. And I know how hard it is to have a product. No one is going to be perfect. So yes, I'm going to be there and I'm going to be super honest and I'm going to help these brands. And if you don't like it, just don't use my website.
Don't look at the website. Fair enough. I like that.
I don't care.
Yeah, I like that. All right. So let's go back to this ambassador role.
Yeah.
So first up, we'll talk about who it's for in a sec. What do you do as an ambassador? Because it sounds like a really, regal kind of role where you might just swan around. But tell me, so it's for Community Collective, right? So let's talk about that. What is that business? What are they doing? And how are you involved with them now?
So the Community Collective is a community for community managers around the world. Now we can say it's global, it's amazing. I started in Australia with our amazing founder, Paz. She's a great friend of mine that I met before with Innovations, and then she founded the Community Collective, which actually during COVID was absolutely amazing because we were connecting with community managers around Australia and seeing what they were doing regarding to community strategies, because we're completely lost, right? You're doing community face-to-face, which is the essence of community. And out of the blue, you're doing everything online. So how can we do it and how we can work properly with that? So I've started attending those meetings, and it was monthly and then fortnightly. And she just built this crazy community of people that wants to build community.
Super quick too, right?
Super quick.
Super quickly.
And she created this ambassador program, which I was so happy, and I put my hands up. We're friends, but I went through the process.
I'm sure I would
applying. I did like my form. I applied for it. I feel like being an ambassador, I always say to her, and happy to say, it's to literally wear the shirt, wear the brand. I talk so highly about the program. They have an amazing cohort that I've done it myself, that they upskill you as a community manager. They have people, giving you feedback. They have community support. And I can say that she is the biggest example I have as a community builder and the way she do it.
Yeah.
And she has a great network as well. Like if you submit, let's say if you submit your community strategy at that day, you receive a book.
Really?
Yeah, so I received a book like from Tim Duggan, actually amazing writer. He just launched a new book called Work Backwards, which talks about this, flexibility and things like that. Yeah. Great book. And he has another book called Cult Status.
I've read that one.
Great book as well. I just feel like being an ambassador for me, for them, it's basically just bringing people along to the business and showing the value of that business, and also connecting people, right? Like I feel like we have to connect people. We have to exchange experiences. And I've met so many great human beings in all matters, personally and professionally, throughout that program. That I feel like being an ambassador is wearing this shirt and being like, let's connect. I'll connect you with her with him, us together, and it's just this crazy bubble of like great people. And that's what I love about them.
Community for community managers. I love it. Awesome.
Yeah, that's great, isn't it?
All right, last question. What's next? So I know you're not completely dedicated to any of these things right now, so you've got some time on your hands. What are you looking to do next in your head? Have you got something that you haven't told anyone? Maybe you can make an announcement today. I don't know. What's happening? Well,
I want to call every single eco brand or a cool brand. Yep. If you're doing something great for the planet, if you're trying to do something cool for the ocean, planet, carbon emissions, you name it. It can be a brand, a product, or a service. I would love to come to me so we can build this community together. I see the need for it. I know that these founders need support. They need people to put them out there. And I'm going to do my best with especially my branding, design, and marketing background to make sure these brands are on the spotlight. That's what I want to do. I want to talk about them. I want to talk about these founders. I want to talk about these brands. But at the moment, what's next is gather as many brands I can, especially in Australia, but I would say globally. I want to be a global community. Let's talk. I'm happy to have meetings with them. I want to hear as much feedback as I can. Okay. Because I want to know what their challenges are, what they need the most. Because at the end of the day, I'm going to build my business for them, not for me. It's all about the founders. It's all about creating a new habit on people and creating a better planet and trying our best and no bullshit. I'm going to say, be completely honest in my business and just get cool brands.
All right, well, thank you. We'll definitely get you back on. We've started having people back on a bit more regularly. So we will definitely look at getting you back on and see how many more brands you've got and see wherever you're ending up now and how that ambassador role is going for you. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, Steve. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for watching today, guys. Don't forget to subscribe and we'll see you next week.